All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 250 of the Restoring Rapport podcast. We are super excited for the content we've got planned out for you guys today. As always, this is a podcast for young believers who are pursuing the goal of marriage and family and trying to get married as young as possible in a healthy way. I'm your host, Seth Hensley. Normally, I'm joined by my co-host, Landon Mock. We come on twice a week, every week, to discuss not only the importance of getting married young, but also we attempt to equip and encourage you in your pursuit of that goal. And today, we've been on this kind of tear recently, guys, of going over how to do the best dates in many different kinds of dating settings. And what gave me this idea originally was I sat down and I thought about my target audience, 18 to 24-year-old young men who are pursuing the goal of marriage, trying to get married young as possible. How do I provide them value as a podcaster? And what kind of stuff did I listen to when I was in that season? And the answer that I came up with was I watched a lot of how to do specific kind of date videos. And so that's the content that I've been trying to create, especially going into summer for you all, because summer is a hugely awesome opportunity for a lot of outdoor dates in particular. And so I think a lot of you guys who are young men looking to plan awesome dates for your significant other and yourself going into summer especially are going to get a lot of value out of this content because this is the content that I consumed when I was in your season. And now as a married man, these are things, I'm looking back basically on the fondest memories I have with my wife and the best dates that we went on, not only leading up to marriage, but post-marriage. And so these are going to be great dates for you guys to do, even if you are not married yet. If you are married, they're still great. But we've been doing a lot of them. We had how to do the best hiking date, how to do the best kayaking date, how to do the best outdoor movie date is what we're going to do today. And so I'm really excited to get into this content for you guys. Outdoor movies are something that I look forward to all year. And so when the time of year comes around where it's actually ideal times to do them, you're going to want to be prepared and you're going to want to have what you want to have down so you can make it happen as soon as possible. As with all outdoor dates, kind of the main enemy of the outdoor movie date is the weather. You are susceptible to poor weather. And instead of trying to plan, in advance to get a nice day, what I would do is get to the practice outdoor movie dates enough to where you're to the place where you can actually do them spontaneously without planning. And without a lot of prep and months and weeks in advance planning. You're not going to want to schedule an outdoor movie date a month or a week in advance. You're going to want to schedule an outdoor movie date a day in advance, or maybe even a few hours in advance. That's when you're going to want to plan one of these. And so if you're in a position where you can't really do that, you are vulnerable to poor weather. And so the way that I would recommend you do these with your significant other is be in a place where you have all of this stuff not set out and set up exactly, but have it accessible to where you can set it up at the drop of a hat in a moment's notice. Because when you see a nice weather day that's 70 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, starry night, maybe cool enough for a bonfire, you're going to want to take advantage of those evenings. And the best way to be able to take advantage of those evenings instead of just sort of watching them drift by is by having everything ready to go that you're going to need for an outdoor movie, ready to go at a moment's notice. And so let's just go over a few of those things that you're going to need before we jump into today's article. You're going to want to have a projector. You're going to want to have a nice speaker. You're going to want to have a source, a computer or a phone. We're going to get into kind of the details there in a little bit later, but those things you're going to need to have ready in addition to a movie screen. So that can be the side of a house that's monotone and doesn't have many textures, or it could be a bed sheet that you've pinned up, or it could be an actual outdoor movie screen, projector screen that they sell on Amazon now. You can get those as well. So you're going to want to have all of those things set up to go. So again, just to recap, projector, you're going to want to have a source, you're going to want to have a speaker, and you're going to want to have a screen. Those are the main things that you're going to want to have. I will link the best projector. Well, they actually don't sell the projector that I and my family use anymore on Amazon. I just recently looked to check for you guys to see if it's still available, and it is not. So what I am going to do is I'm going to give you one that I think is actually better. And the reason it's better, and this is really exciting, is another one of the downsides of outdoor movies is there's a lot of cords, and cords are a nightmare. Not only because you've got it creates tripping hazards and just it jumbles up the dating environment, it makes a mess of your location, but also because they're a pain to set up. and they're just a pain all around. Cords are not fun to set up, especially at the drop of a hat, which is how I would recommend you do these outdoor movies. And so unless you can have a permanent setup, cords are not really going to be your solution. And so they actually have. I'm really excited to tell you guys this. They actually have Bluetooth projectors now. So you can actually take a source, a phone, a laptop, something like that, out with a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker and a Bluetooth projector, no cords at all, and do an outdoor movie without a single cord in sight. And that to me is just revolutionary when it comes to outdoor movies. Because if you've done these, for any number of times, you're going to realize very quickly that the cords are not something you like. They're not something that is adding to the date or something that is taking away from the date. And so Bluetooth speaker, Bluetooth projector, I'm going to link one of those in the show notes just to show you guys, that it's available, but it is right here. I'm going to share my screen for you. It's on Amazon, 2-day shipping, $90. Absolutely, I would say worth the money. And I do want to be careful and kind of add the caveat that I don't own this exact projector. So, I can't vouch for actually the quality of its, projection or, the sound quality or anything like that. And I also don't know some of the logistic details of how to pair this with your source in addition to pairing a speaker to your source. I don't even know if you can Bluetooth pair two things at the same time. So there would be some things you have to work out here. Maybe you could just use the speakers on the projector, but in my experience, that's not a good idea. Speakers on projectors are not good. They're really, really bad quality. And so maybe you could have just a corded speaker in addition to this Bluetooth projector, or, if you wanted to do it the other round, you could have a corded projector with a Bluetooth speaker. That's another great idea that you could try. But either way, you're going to want to minimize cords. Minimizing cords is going to be something that you definitely want to do. But without further ado, let's kind of go ahead and get into this week's article, which is Outdoor Movie Date Night Ideas, Your Guide to a Magical Night. It's by Premier Outdoor Movies. So this is a website dedicated solely to basically telling you how to run these outdoor movies. And what I kind of try to do in these episodes is accumulate a lot of specialist advice into a small and digestible 30 minute podcast episode for you guys to consume, so that you don't have to put a bunch of time into researching the information that you need to pull one of these dates off. And so hopefully this generates a lot of value for you. But again, this article is titled Outdoor Movie Date Night Ideas, Your Guide to a Magical Night. I'm going to give you my personal opinion, my personal experience on all the ideas that they discuss in this article, because I have done a lot of outdoor movie dates, not only dates, but also outdoor movie nights with my community as a whole. So I've done quite a few. I would say I've probably done 7 to 10 outdoor movie dates or nights myself. I've probably hosted that many, and then I've probably attended 20. I've probably attended 20 outdoor movie date nights and probably hosted 7 to 10 is how I would guess it. And again, some of those were dates, some of them were just community events. But so I have done it quite enough to know kind of the troubles that you're going to run into, as well as how to overcome some of those things. And so that I kind of want to do this article just not only to give you my personal take, but also you tap into the wisdom that they can give you as well. It says at some point in your life, you might have had an outdoor movie date, but when was the last time you went on one? Chances are it's probably hasn't been in a while or ever. Outdoor movies are not only fun for couples, but they offer the opportunity to bring your family along with you. So what is stopping you? Have no fear. This list of easy and affordable ideas will get your creative juices flowing in order to create the perfect night out. You'll never leave home without another movie date in hand. And again, something I want to just highlight going in, the main things that I've talked about so far that you need to remember are you need to have this equipment situated in such a way that you can use it quickly and set it up quickly, because the biggest thing that stops outdoor movie dates is the weather and basically, the amount of prep time it takes to set these up. Sometimes you just don't have the energy in you to set up a huge production. And so the easier you can make the setup process, the more outdoor movie dates you're going to be able to go on, and the higher quality of date you're actually going to be able to pull off. The more you practice makes perfect. It's really common sense. But the first thing they're going to talk about is a perfect spot. So it says you have to have a perfect time with the ones you love. An outdoor movie night will be a good experience, but you'll need to set up everything. First comes picking a suitable venue. You can keep it anywhere. maybe in a national park or an open space. I actually have done one out. I didn't host this, but my mentor did an outdoor movie at a campground many, many years ago. So I actually have done one of these in a national park, which is very funny that they would use that as a location suggestion. It says, after all, you're planning for it to be quality time spent with your family. The best and most convenient place for an outdoor cozy movie night can be nowhere other than your own backyard. Yes, you read that right. Your house's backyard can be very safe and very manageable for you. And this is one that I would actually say, is the best. I'm going to highlight it for you guys. Is the best place to host an outdoor movie, I would say, is your backyard. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Again, I would say the biggest one is the prep time goes down, and it makes the date much less cumbersome to pull off. So if you have, and everyone has access to a house. You have a house, and on that house, either inside or outside, there is probably a large blank wall that is either an interior wall or an exterior wall that is big enough to host a screen. And you can make that screen any size you want by moving the projector either closer to the wall or further from the wall. And so I would advise basically just finding the biggest open wall that you have, either interior wall or exterior wall, in your house or outside your house, and then projecting the screen onto that surface. And again, it's going to be super easy setup wise. You don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to pack a bunch of equipment and remember to pack all that equipment home. You just have access to everything right at your house. You can take it to the room that you picked or the outside location that you picked. Project the screen super easy that way. And it's going to make the date, again, a lot easier to pull off. And the easier the date is to prepare and set up, the more likely it is that you're actually going to go on this date. Because a lot of things that get in the way, again, of outdoor movie dates is how hard it is to set up. And so the easier you can make it on yourself, the better. It says the ambiance and the vibe. If you finalize setting up your own theater in your backyard, the rest of the jobs will automatically reduce for you. So it's kind of saying the same thing I am. It says you will surely save money and have more control over the viewing experience. That's also another factor that you're going to have if you do it at home. You're going to have more control over the viewing experience than you would if you did it at another location. You could, if you were to go somewhere to an outdoor movie screen that you know in your local town, national park, campground, etc., you're vulnerable to other people kind of crashing your event. Even if they didn't actually have the boldness to come up and sit down with you, they could, you can't control their volume. They can be blaring music. They can be laughing, carrying on a conversation, in such a way that it's disrupting your movie viewing experience. They could be, they could be doing anything. They could be doing anything in your direct vicinity because, again, you don't own the place in which you're hosting this movie. So you have less control over your environment. So, again, I would advise doing it in a place where you have total control over your environment. And even if let's say you were to get rained out, you could just move the outdoor movie inside by putting it on a TV or by setting up a projector and projecting it on the ceiling, which we'll talk about in a minute. There are lots of cool ways to view a projector movie indoors too. But I do think that's a good point that you have more control over your viewing experience if you own the property on which you're viewing the movie. So that's definitely something to consider. It says creativity is in the air. What can amplify the most basic outdoor movie night is a dash of DIY. Be creative and pocket friendly. Pick a theme and decorate the whole setup according to it. Everything present there should complement the theme. This doesn't have to be hectic. Spend time with your family in preparing the movie night. Use their ideas and you'll make a whole memory worth remembering for everybody. Your most simple experience can be lifted to a whole new level. I like this. This is where the elements of novelty can come in. I usually suggest for your dates, guys, that you add an element of novelty to them. At least my wife and I have really liked those. The more novel, the more unique, the more special that we can create these dates, the more memorable they are, and the more we want to repeat them. And sometimes they are not as repeatable if you get too novel. So if you put too much thought and energy and time into a date, then that date becomes less repeatable. But it is a great memory. And so I would recommend doing it anyway. For example, if you're going to watch, Harry Potter, for just throwing out a movie out there if your significant other likes Harry Potter and you decide to watch that movie for your outdoor movie date, then you could have some Harry Potter themed decorations and even food items for the actual viewing. So set up your environment with sort of Harry Potter themes, and that will bring some novel elements of novelty into your dating experience. And that's fitting because the next paragraph that they give is on the food that you should have. It says everybody likes to have good snacks with them while they watch movies. How incomplete your movie night will be if you don't pay attention to the munchings. You want to make sure it's a night to remember. Well, you can't do that by packing the perfect picnic for your cozy night. You can do that by packing the perfect picnic for your cozy night. This doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Think of each person in your family. In this case, we're not doing a family movie viewing date. We're doing a date. So think of your significant other and bring something that suits him or her. Fries, nachos, cheese sticks, taco salad, crackers, salsa, you name it. You have to have something. You have to have something that favors everyone. In this case, just your significant other. It'll take the whole experience to a whole new level by doing that. And then for drinks, it says colas, juices, malts, or just water. Just make sure you have everything for you guys will need to drink, but don't forget popcorn. The thought of a movie night feels incomplete without popcorn. We actually did an episode in the past, in the recent past, all these summer day ideas of kind of some popcorn flavorings that are really, really good. I'm gonna try and look up the brand for you guys. Before actually, I really don't have time to look it up during the recording, but I'll look it up and include it in the show notes. There's some kettle corn popcorn seasoning that is really good. They have like 40 flavors, and man, it is so easy to just make a popcorn experience totally different with that brand. So I'm going to include that link in the show notes. And again, you just season your popcorn with it, and it flavors it, to your taste. And there are like 40 different flavors. Really, really good addition to add to your outdoor movie arsenal. The next paragraph that they have down here is what to watch. And just to throw in something briefly before I read this here, you're going to want to pick something that is, catered obviously to your significant other's taste. As the man in particular, I think that your job as a facilitator and host of this event is to try and make this as memorable and enjoyable and comfortable for her as possible. So if you're watching a horror movie and she's squeamish, that's not a recipe for, a memorable in a good way date. And so you're going to want to pick something that is aligned with her interests and taste. So if she's big into fantasy, pick a fantasy. If she's big into comedy, pick a comedy. If she's big into rom-coms, pick a rom-com. If she's big into horror, you could pick a horror. If she's big into, just whatever her favorite genre is, pick a movie within that genre. If she even has a favorite movie or something that she wants to just rewatch in a more memorable setting with you and perhaps even share with you for the first time, that's a great one to do because she's getting to not only share her favorite movie with you, but she's getting to do so in an environment that, she probably won't ever share that movie with anybody else in. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to basically allow her to pick the movie and share something with you that is really close to her heart. And so that's a wonderful idea. It says, time to cherish. Everybody has their own busy lives. You can live with your family and not get a chance to speak with them for weeks due to a busy schedule. So planning events like this provides us with lots of time. Again, this is not so much applicable to your situation because again, this article seems to be talking to families, which again, this is great if you want to do a family event like this, but I'm talking to people who want to make this a date. So you're going to have time to spend with your significant other, at least if you're doing dating right. If you're actually dating somebody to get married to them and to spend as much time with them as possible, then you're going to be seeing them a lot more than that paragraph would suggest. It says the conclusion is outdoor movie date nights can be tricky. You want to make it perfect, but you also want to keep it simple. That's why we put together a guide for you. There are so many ways to make a perfect movie date night for you and your sweetheart. We hope you found some ideas here to inspire your own unique hangout night, and don't forget to make it an event for the whole family. So they're actually kind of saying that you can make this a date and bring in your family to it, which I think is a great idea, especially if you're going to this much effort and making it this novel. You could definitely bring in, you can make it a double date, a couple's date event. I actually saw a meme, but nonetheless, this was a really unique idea to watch Jaws on the water. So they actually had people in a pool with a movie projected on the side of a house, and that movie was Jaws, and they were watching Jaws while floating in a pool, which I thought was really cool, but also, I would not personally choose that because that seems like a recipe for disaster as far as, people getting really scared, but it's just a unique idea. Anything you can do to bring an element of novelty and uniqueness to this date is going to really improve the quality of it. And so I would say those are the biggest things. The Art of Manliness does have an article here that I was able to find. If you're going the spooky date route, that he does have an article on how to create a spooky backyard movie night with a sheet, which I found to be rather interesting. So I'm going to read it kind of to you guys here, some of his major points. He says some things you'll need. The supply list is a DVD player or a computer. He's kind of giving you more outdated equipment here. You don't necessarily need a DVD player anymore. I would use a computer with just a simple HDMI cable, a projector, and requisite cords. Again, that's only necessary if you go the non-Bluetooth projector route. He says you need speakers, extension cords. Extension cords is a big one. I forgot to mention that. So, a lot of times, when you're in the process of setting up the outdoor movie outside, something you're going to realize is, oh my gosh, my cords don't reach the outlets that I have. The location I picked for my movie doesn't have enough outlets available. So you're going to want an extension cord, as well as, I would say, a surge protector that offers you more outlets to plug up your various devices if you're going the cord route. If you're going the Bluetooth route, again, that's not so much a problem. You can just do that anywhere, even out in the middle of nowhere. You could go to a campground with no electric and play an outdoor movie if you had a sheet with a Bluetooth projector and the speaker, and your source, as long as all three were charged. And then it says a white bed sheet. That is something you're going to need. A white bed sheet. Again, something I'll say here is I've not found that to be super necessary, as long as you have a flat surface that is monotone in color. So even if it's like a muted green or a cream or a gray wall inside your house or outside your house, as long as it's a monotone color, a single color, and there aren't that many texture patterns on it or something, it's going to make a fine backdrop for a projected movie. Even if you see a couple lines through the screen, I mean, really, your brain does do a marvelous job in making you forget those. 5 minutes into your movie viewing experience. One of my favorite stories when it comes to outdoor movies is I showed The Prince of Egypt for an event that my family hosted for my community. And 2 minutes in, really just 30 seconds into the movie viewing, I realized that the Bluetooth audio was out of sync with the lips of the generated the CGI actors in the movie. And I thought, man, this whole event is ruined because the audio is out of sync with the video. But then, what's amazing about your brain is 10, 20 minutes into that movie, maybe even less, your brain actually corrects that. So you stop hearing the audio and the video out of sync and you start seeing it in sync, even though it's not, which is really amazing. Your brain is just, for those of you guys who don't know how amazing your brain is, it's truly a miraculous piece of meat. It will fix things and adjust for things in a remarkable way when there are problems. And so that's one of the ways it does it. If your audio and video is out of sync, don't panic too much. If you go the Bluetooth route, because your brain will correct it within a matter of minutes, and you'll be seeing the synced audio and video, even though it's not there. It's really miraculous. He says chairs. This is another really big one. If you don't lay down blankets or have if you're not doing it on a porch or something, you're going to want to have like camp chairs. That was something I failed to mention that you're definitely going to want. Camp chairs are super portable and easy to put anywhere. That's the huge benefit of them. They also usually have snack holders, like bottled water holders, or sometimes even a fold-out table for snacks, which can be super handy, especially if you're just out on a grassy, flat place, like a yard. And so you're definitely going to want those. He says snacks, drinks, and blankets. Blankets are going to be especially necessary because women are stereotypically cold-blooded. And so you're going to want to make this, again, if you're trying to make this as comfortable as possible for your significant other, you're going to want to have things there that make it comfortable for her. You can do hand warmers, you can have a fire, or you can have blankets. Sometimes having an option would be good. So if you want to have a fire prepared in the event that she wants one, you can light that about halfway through the movie. Or you can just have the blankets and the hand warmers there as well. But that's kind of his list for things that you're going to need. He says location, location, location. I imagine he's going to say it's important here. He says, before you do any setup, you're going to need to choose the right location. You can obviously need a special space, not only for theater goers, but your projection setup and cordage as well. You'll also need to access to power with a long extension cord. You can do just about anything. That is true. The power of the extension cord is real when it comes to setting up an outdoor movie. Again, if you're not going the Bluetooth route. It says another consideration should be any light pollution that comes into your yard. You'll want to find a dark place as free from the glare of street and or house lights as possible. Something that I say every single time when I do one of these how-to day episodes is try to conduct the date prior to taking the woman on it. And I know that sounds stupid. You're not taking yourself on a date here. What you're doing is basically laying things, you're doing the date exactly as you're going to do it with your woman, just to make sure everything goes right. So if you're doing an outdoor movie experience with your woman, you're not going to want to take her the first time you do it. You're going to want to set the date up and conduct and facilitate the event yourself, and see how everything goes and correct any problems that will inevitably arise before you take your woman on it. Because then what's going to happen is when you actually have your woman with you, things are going to go a lot smoother, and you're going to be aware of potholes in the road and what to avoid and the problems that come up, and you're not going to have to solve those during the date time. There's nothing that subtracts from your ability to connect with your partner during a date than having to solve a million problems that come up. You're going to want to have those taken care of. You're going to want to know what the problems are prior to taking a woman on the date. So test everything, make sure everything works, cook whatever food you're going to cook before you cook it for the actual date, have the fire set up, have used the kind of fire that you're setting up, make sure that all your equipment works. Basically, start the movie, make sure everything goes according to plan. And in doing so, you're going to make the date a lot smoother when she's actually here. The equipment, he gives you some equipment here, but again, I'm going to give you some more updated equipment here, especially because he's pricing them from $95 to $500. What I would do is I would just I would rent or borrow a projector just to see if you like the movie date with your partner. And then if you do, and you want to make it a repeatable date that you sustain over time, then you can invest in, a really nice projector, a $500 projector. Even a $200 projector would be definitely sufficient for two people, a two-people watch party. And so I would recommend you borrow it first, see if you like it. If your woman really likes it, then you invest in the projector to make it a long-term date idea. Speakers, this is one of the biggest problems that I've run into in my outdoor movie dating experiences is speakers usually don't pack enough punch and don't have enough power to actually be audible. And that's a problem you're going to run into because you're in the outdoors. A lot of people don't realize how much the outdoors actually absorb whatever sound you're producing through a speaker. It's so big, and there is so much white noise and background noise and crickets and and cars in the background and stuff that can drown out the audio of the video that you're producing. So again, this is going to be easier, and this is an advantage that you have because you're going on a date with two people instead of producing a huge event where you have to have enough volume for a crowd of 20, 25 people. You don't have to have the massive speaker output that a group movie showing will, but you still want to have enough to be audible without straining your ears. You don't want to be straining your ears for the whole movie. That is not a way to do an outdoor movie. So again, test your audio before you take the woman on this date. Make sure that you're able to hear it. And I would get a Bluetooth speaker for this. They just make it so much easier. Again, they cut down on your cords. If anytime you can cut down on cords, that's a good idea in my experience. So test your Bluetooth speaker. Make sure that it's loud enough to be heard at a comfortable volume, adjustable both up and down, for two people, a two-people movie showing. Just to make sure that is a thing. Because I will tell you, you will run into problems with speakers not being loud enough for outdoor movies. That is something that you're going to run into. Because again, speakers are made for enclosed settings. They're not made for outdoor spaces. And so they're often not loud enough. The sheet or screen, he says, finally, of course, you'll need a screen, which is where some white bed sheets come in. Using just one sheet can get the job done, but placing two back-to-back creates a better, less seen-through screen. Make sure they're ironed, as wrinkles will impede your viewing experience. These can be harder to do than I think he's letting on, just because if you tie a rope around this screen anyway, this makeshift screen, that's going to create more wrinkles than any wrinkles that are, in the sheet already are going to have. And so I don't think that ironing it is going to necessarily solve your wrinkle problem, especially because there are going to be wrinkles in however you're setting the sheet up, unless you've gotten one that's, again, a specifically built for outdoor movie showings. The more elastic, the better, in other words, so there's not as many wrinkles. But again, all of that can be kind of a hassle. What I've found is that it might be just easier to project it on the side of, again, a monotone wall instead of a sheet, because it cuts out the whole setting up a screen process, which can be very cumbersome and difficult and consume a lot of time that you don't want to put into it. So just find a blank monotone wall, either in your house or outside your house, and project the movie on the screen there. If you go the indoor movie viewing route, a couple things that you can really do to spice up this date. is project the movie on the ceiling. So put the projector on a tripod, angle the projector back using the tripod, adjustable hinges, and project the movie on the ceiling. Then put a bed down, like a mattress, and then obviously have the bed made up with pillows and blankets and stuff, and then have tables on either side for the snacks. And man, that one of Lainey and I's favorite dates ever. We did that originally. I think that was like maybe our fourth date, and we loved that. We did it at my house. We projected Pride and Prejudice onto the ceiling and had a wonderful movie night. And that was super novel, and I'll remember that forever, just because we were looking up to watch a movie. You don't normally do that. It's like stargazing, but seeing a movie, which is really, really cool. And again, that adds a huge element of novelty to it. And it's also super comfortable because you're on a bed. You're on something that is very, very designed to be very, very comfortable, and you're not going to get uncomfortable throughout the course of an hour and a half long movie. So definitely consider that if you're doing the indoor movie viewing route. You can also project it on a wall if you're inside and just have a bed or chairs and then watch it vertically, reclined as most people watch movies. As far as snacks and beverages, he recommends that you include popcorn. Obviously, he says it would be sacrilegious not to. Rather than the microwave variety, make it over the store with a popper, melted butter, and salt. This is where the popcorn seasoning that I recommended to you comes in. Definitely check that out. In fact, I'll just really quickly Google popcorn seasoning, and I bet you $10 million. Yep, the first brand that came up. Allow me to share my screen with you. The first brand is Colonel Seasoning. That's their Colonel Seasons. That is the best popcorn seasoning that I found. You can get so many flavors. Just to kind of go over some of them with you here, we have butter, bacon cheddar, cheesy caramel corn, dill pickle, sour cream and onion, garlic parmesan, caramel corn, kettle corn, cheesy jalapeno, buffalo wing, and some others down here. We have white cheddar, ranch, popcorn salt, nacho cheddar, and milk chocolate caramel. All those. So my point is, and they have more than that. That's a package that they have on Amazon for $50. But you obviously wouldn't have to do that many. You could just get a flavor that you think either matched the theme that you had set up for your event, or get a flavor that your significant other likes, and set up your movie viewing experience that way. Definitely can't go wrong there. He says, again, to make it over the stove. I think you could do a microwave here. He always adds the elements of novelty in how he prepares his food. So that's what he's going to say. He says to jazz it up even more, grab a popcorn seasoning pack. So he even gives you one of those here. If we click this link that he has, he goes to the exact brand that I just showed you. So Colonel Seasons popcorn seasoning. They have sort of that brand must have monopolized the setting. It's a number one bestseller on Amazon, 35,000 ratings, so definitely a good one. What else does he say though here? Oh, that was my link. That was my originally closed link, so I'll have to go to history here to pull it back up for you guys. But overall, I would say he's got a lot of really good tips here. And just keep in mind though, the biggest things that are going to get in your way are the weather and how cumbersome this day is to set up. So make sure you've done everything in your power to avoid those problems, and you should have a great movie viewing experience. He says some other great fall foodstuffs you should have on hand include roast pumpkin seeds and hot apple pie with vanilla ice cream, of course. That's a little bit, if you want to go a little bit more high end for this date. On a chilly October evening, you probably don't want a cold beer. Best to have a hot chocolate and the mulled cider available. Overall, really good suggestions by Brent McKay. Again, he runs the Art of Manliness podcast and has his website, artofmanliness.com, if you guys want to check out that for more ideas. I'll include the link to this article, both articles, in the show notes so you guys can check them out. Thank you guys so much for listening today. If you enjoyed the content you heard, I hope this has generated a lot of value for you. Let me know how your date goes. Through the link in the show notes, you can send me a personalized audio voice message. Give me thanks, questions, comments, feedback, and alternate perspective, your story, anything at all. I would love to hear those. It would make me feel super connected to you as an audience member. And I would love to hear how your date went in your own voice. I like getting messages on social media, but I would definitely like this more. You can also follow the Restoring Report podcast on Instagram and Facebook if you're interested in the content we post there as well. So thank you guys so much for listening today, and we will talk to you next time.